In a world oversaturated with other people's opinions, what is needed now is more opinions! Alex and the Garbage Man! We can't have aliens come here and learn about our music until we solve all of these problems that we have. Because if we're still infighting with each other, aliens are not going to listen to the music we have to offer. Because they're going to be like, fuck these people.
I'm sure they've already said that. I'm sure they just stood back and watched and went, no, we'll just go. No, not.
I would like to think that, of course, aliens have to be smart enough to travel across the galaxy or wherever they're coming from, other galaxies perhaps. Sure, they may be a bit jet lagged and do stupid stuff like anal probes. However, they should be smart enough to look around and perhaps select a human or a few humans that not only possess the intellect, but the emotional, let's say emotional intellect as well, to not freak out when they see little green men, as the old saying goes.
And I wonder if they'd actually be little green men.
I doubt it.
You know, like I find that hard to believe as well. Like, I don't know. It's interesting. Like, you wonder if it's one of those things where there'll be so many different versions that we've seen out in the movies and whatnot. And then it's either going to be like, oh, they were the ones that write, or everybody's going to be like, man, we weren't even close. Right. So you never know.
Yeah. Cause pretty much 75% of the aliens that are depicted are humanoid-like. They've got arms and legs and a head. Now, if you watch Arrival from 2016, they're not exactly that. And there are a few other movies that have gone off the beaten path of using bipeds as aliens.
Men in Black had a bunch of different ones.
Yep.
What else was there? Marvin the Martian was a little human. Does that count? No? Okay, fine. Fuck, whatever.
No.
So, my life, I went back to work.
Nice.
Working 2 hours a day. It's going pretty good. So yesterday it was pretty gnarly, pretty sore.
Mm.
So, just did some stretches, and yeah. So next week I will be 4 hours and back in my garbage truck on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So awesome. I am very excited and looking forward to that. So what's new in the world of Alex?
Not a whole lot. I had some time off, but as you get older, any time you have off, it just seems to fly by.
And I also find as you get older, you just don't want to do anything.
Now, when you say do anything, you mean go out of the house? Of course, you mean you don't want to go party with 20-year-olds.
Yeah, but even then, you're like, and I mean, like I said, I have great friends in Tabor, but it's like, oh, my couch is so comfortable. I really like Brooklyn Nine-Nine right now. Yeah, no, I'm just going to sit and watch episodes of Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like, it just, yeah, I mean, you do things like go out and, you got to do some yard work and whatnot. But, like, to go out and, yeah, we're going to go for, we're going to go do activities and whatnot. It's like, you know what? We did a lot with the kid when he was younger. And it's just like, nah, don't need to go to the zoo or nothing like that. And, no, I'll put my feet up and jam with the guys every once in a while and make some music and, build some shit at Rob's house. And other than that, it's like, meh. It's funny because when you're younger, you're always like, oh, I need to go out. I got to go out. I got to see my friends. I got to do this. I got to go to Max. I got to find out where everyone's partying. I got to get my booze. I got to do this, got to do that. And now you're just like, the remote is way over there. Fuck. And then you go, Alexa, turn on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's hooked to my TV. Son of a bitch.
That's
And
what
then
Alexa was made for. Old, lazy people like yourself.
and then you do the old, you're laying on the couch and the remote's on the far side. You don't want to get up. So you're doing the big stretch with your, like, you can't see my leg, but your leg's stretched out and you're doing the old, and then you knock it off and it falls off the far side. And now you're really screwed because now you have to get up and get it. You know? Well, don't worry. I'm not going to cry. You know what? I actually was going to learn to try it because my mom was really into it. And I think I did 3 things. Like, yeah, I'm done. Yeah, don't worry about the cross stitching. That's not going to happen. Well, I'm getting older, so you never know, right? But, so I guess we should get the bad out of the way before we talk about our music lists. And so the subject we're going to start on, of course, which is, well, maybe you can explain, Alex. I should have looked this up, but I got so preoccupied with the latest events between police and communities. The gentleman that murdered George Floyd was found guilty. What I don't understand is, and maybe you can fill me in, I won't say Reader's Digest. I don't like when I say that. How did he get charged with 3 different counts of murder? I don't understand.
I believe one was manslaughter, one was murder in the 2nd degree, and the other, I'd like to say it was in the 1st degree, but 1st degree implies, if I remember, premeditation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it was explicitly stated by Derek Chauvin that it was his intention to kill George Floyd. Of course, his body language and the hands in the pockets tell an entirely different story.
Of course it does, yes.
But he didn't explicitly state as much. So murder in the 2nd degree, manslaughter. I can't remember what the 3rd one was, but it was something to do with murder. And
okay, sorry, go ahead.
It may be overkill. However, good. I'm glad he was charged. I hope he gets the maximum 40 years. Because there have been enough examples set in the past with regards to egregious sentencing that now the shoe's on the other foot. This should be a wake-up call to American police that you can't do this. You can't keep doing this. I mean, it shouldn't have happened in the first place. Even back in the 1960s, it was not okay. But now, 50 years after that, it's definitely not okay. Like, why? Why do you guys keep doing this? What's the point? What's the purpose? The other was 3rd degree murder. Okay, so I can't remember the difference between 2nd and 3rd degree murder, but yes, throw the book at him. Throw many books at him. Throw enough books at him that it takes him 40 years in prison to read all those books. If he doesn't get killed first, because he most likely will be put in general population. The instant he does, he's getting shanked.
And even we want to go back to the 60s. Let's go back to the 90s with Rodney King.
Yeah,
I know the 60s, yes, was horrible. I by no means am downplaying what happened in the 60s, 70s, but it was on tape. 4 officers beating the living piss out of a gentleman, regardless of what he was high. He was like, I mean, I could see, again, tackling him, cuffing him. There's 4 fucking officers there. I'm gonna go on. Well, I'll go on the 4 guys, the guys here. So me and Alex, Brody, and Ryan. I would like to think between the 4 of us that we could subdue one person without batons and throwing fucking knee strikes to the head and punching in the face. I would like to think that we could, even without proper training. I would like to think we could at least subdue somebody enough to make them stop-ish.
And the 4 of us trying to do it, it would look like a comedy show.
I'm honestly picturing me, you, and Brody are on top of him, and Ryan's like, get him!
He's sitting in the back like this. He's like, yeah, do that. Yeah. Do that again. He becomes the supervisor. He probably just ate another huge burger.
Stay down. Stay down. Bastard. See? There he goes with it. But so, now that being said, the one I've been wrestling with all day, of course, is exactly Benny Hill music, Three Stooges. Yeah, it's yeah. So, and we have to talk about it. Is the the incident happened in Ohio, in Akron, I believe it was, where a young woman named Micaiah Bryant, 16, lost her life in an incident that happened at their home. And a lot of people, of course, right away jumped on another senseless, and it is senseless. It's a senseless death, no matter how you look at it. And we're gonna break it down, because we talked about this before we came on the air, to break it down more as a broader spectrum. First off, before we even start, and Alex said this, and not I'm taking his thunder here, but we don't know everything yet. So this is purely. Oh, was it Columbus? Sorry, I thought it was Ohio. Anyways,
yeah, Columbus, Ohio. Yeah.
Oh, Akron, Ohio, Columbus, Ohio. Thank you. Sorry. This is what we've seen and read, and there's been many things that we've seen and read, and videos we've watched. Okay. For those of you who haven't watched it, the video I watched was of the police cam, the first police officer, the one that actually shot the young girl. He arrived, and it was the video was choppy, but it cleared up. And as this is happening, the young lady with the knife has a knife in her hand, pushes down another female. And the officer is saying, drop the knife. He has drawn his gun, drop the knife. And she goes over to a girl wearing, and this will be the thing that stands out in this video. A girl wearing a pink tracksuit, full pink, head to toe. And she rears back that knife, and the officer shot her.
4 times.
4 times. Okay. I will say this, that you see a lot of people are saying, why didn't you use a taser? Why didn't you use a taser? Albeit this girl is 16 years old. We've seen the videos where some people have walked through tasers, and and I'm not saying this young girl would have. She was not a big, huge, like a muscular person or even a bigger woman. She was a 16-year-old girl. What should he have done? When I say that, can you guys picture everybody and like think about, well, me, Sarah, Brian, and Brody, we're all parents. I don't care who it is. If my child is about to be stabbed by somebody, and there's an officer there, and he doesn't, and Chad, and he's here, doesn't shoot that person that is going to stab my child, there's going to be a huge issue. Okay. Now, what I have a problem with is the way that the Black Lives Matter went nuts. Another. All the people involved were African Americans. What would be going on right now if that officer had just stood there and went, I don't want to get in trouble. I don't want to shoot someone. And is he supposed to just stand there and one, maybe he gets stabbed by this person. 2, she stabs the girl and then kills her. Then what?
Then is he justified in shooting her if she stabs and kills that person? So
should he have waited? Is that what it's coming to? Is that you need to stop and wait just to be like, I'm just gonna see. Okay, stabbed her. Okay, like, and I don't understand when it becomes Black Lives Matter, and then do Black Lives Matter? Because this was all black on black violence.
Yeah, aside from the police officer.
I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah.
So I want to read this. I don't know if I'm coming in too soon, but I want to read this. So this was back from last year. Terry Crews took a lot of shit from the black community because he wants everybody to be one. He wants solidarity between everybody. Okay. Now this this makes my head hurt. And even I laughed after I read it to Alex. I don't even know what to say to this. Okay. So this is what Don Lemon said to Terry Crews on his show about the Black Lives Matter. Okay. Because Terry Crews wants to go about the whole issue of black on black violence, like all the kids getting like shot in Chicago. That was what Terry referenced in this conversation. And this is what Don Lemon said to him. The Black Lives Movement has started because it's talking about police violence. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that's talking about gun violence in communities, including Black communities, then start that movement with that name. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is about.
Keep in mind, Don Lemon does not speak for the Black Lives Matter movement. He's simply giving his opinion on it. Mm-hmm. So then at that point, there would be a divergence if this were to happen. So this is a hypothetical, a divergence within the movement, one going on black violence, the other continuing on with white on black violence. So there would be a schism, a split at that point.
And to add on to this, because we're going to get to the whole left eating itself, nobody is talking about, if you watch the video on the officer's cam from the start, once the girl who ends up getting shot pushes the other girl down, there is a gentleman who actually comes from the back and boots the young girl in the head that's laying on the ground. And I'm like, why is nobody saying, hey, this guy just booted her in the head? Nobody's talking about that. So what I'm saying is now that the left eating itself, now what's going to happen is you're going to have the women's, which should be brought up. You're going to have the feminists going, well, hold on, guys. This gentleman just kicked this young lady in the head. So why aren't we talking about the gentleman that just booted this young girl in the head? Right? And it's not, I haven't even seen anything about that. Everybody's talking about the cop.
I saw a few comments about that. I can't remember which video on YouTube it was, but it was the officer's body cam footage. Some people did mention it, but that's, you got to look at priority. Priority is the 16-year-old young woman is dead. She was shot 4 times by an officer, a white officer. That assault is a distant second at this point.
True.
Yeah.
So I saw this picture, and a lot of people kept saying because she's black, this is what happened. And if he was white, this doesn't happen. Now, the reason I'm bringing this picture in is because I actually, I saw Brody comment on one of these, and I did a lot of thinking about it. And so I'm going to bring up the picture of this white gentleman. I wish I would have looked his name up, but whatever, we're going. This is the young man from Kansas who shot 3 people while defending businesses. Now, a lot of people will argue that why wasn't this kid shot? He's walking down the middle of the street. Thanks, Brody. Walking down the middle of the street with a gun, and he ended up shooting 3 people. Now, go ahead.
I was going to say, if I remember correctly, with regards to that incident, those 3 people that he shot, at least one of them were trying to disarm him, and I think 1, if not 2 of those people as well were armed. And if this happened in, was it Missouri or Kansas?
Missouri, I think it was.
I think there's a stand your ground law, but Kyle came from out of state.
Yes, he did.
So it's not as clear cut, I don't think.
No, but what I was getting at is, okay, so maybe he should have been. He's like walking down a street with a fucking gun. Okay, so I'm agreeing with that. Okay, Wisconsin. Thanks, Brody. Thanks for doing the research for us.
We got our Jamie here.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is a lot of the black community be like, well, why wasn't he shot? Why wasn't he taken down? He had a gun. I agree with that. because I mean, a lot of states, well, now maybe they do have an open carry. Maybe they're allowed to do that. Again, I don't know. I'm not, but I've said the same thing about the people that infiltrated the Capitol. They should have all been shot. As soon as they went in there, they should have, like, again, I thought we had lasers and right, like they'd have been dead, right? This young lady that was attacking two people with a knife was in the middle of stabbing someone.
Attempting to
stab someone. So, so there is I don't know if there's a difference, but I know that really doesn't have the white kid walking without the gun has nothing to do. They are separate incidents.
Separate things. Just say things.
Separate things. And do I think it's right? No, you shouldn't be able to walk down the street with a fucking assault rifle or whatever that. Like, okay, if it owns an AR-15, I don't know my guns like that. Blah blah blah. But I don't know what it is. And like, but.
I think the officers, to what Brody was saying, if Rittenhouse was pointing his gun at the officers, no doubt they would have unloaded on him. But I don't think he was. No. I didn't even do any research on Rittenhouse. Sorry guys,
this was just something that we need to see how this plays out. But this is a case where I said last week that young Mexican boy that got shot, that officer should be fucking done and should be in jail. I said, right, and Alex did say you should slow down before you jump, and I'm like, no, this guy, and I said, no, this kid had his hands in the air and got shot. This young lady, it's sad she's gone, was attacking someone with a knife.
Yeah, attempted assault with a deadly weapon.
Yep.
And she was doing it twice. The one that went on the ground first, she went for her, but then turned around and went up to pink tracksuit.
Yeah. And so then this brings up a bigger thing now. So the young lady that was the one that stabbed or was attempting to stab people, her family were the ones that called the officers because these people were at their residence. What I don't understand is if they had called the cops were coming. Why are they going out of the house and doing what's even happening at the moment? Were these and then me and Alex talked about before we came on the air. Are these bullies that tortured this poor girl and they showed up at her house to start something and she's just like, I'm done. I've had enough. So, I mean, like the Amanda Todd story, we just talked about Rena Verk a few weeks ago. This is all going to come out, and then hopefully we can talk a little bit more about this, and like at least have some more ideas about what exactly led to all of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think nothing should be happening to this officer. He did his job. And let's remember, folks, this guy was only on the force for 16 months and now has to live with this for the rest of his life.
If he remains on the force, there is an internal investigation happening now.
Yeah, but is that going to be the mob justice mentality?
Yeah, are they going to kowtow to the screaming majority? I don't even know at this point. Ohio does have, state law allows police to use deadly force to protect themselves or others, and investigators will determine whether this shooting was such an instance. This is from cbc.ca. They did a little blurb on this, whatever they could. Oh, it is difficult being a police officer, especially when you look at not the officer's body cam footage, but the camera that was across the street looking at the driveway. From the time the police officer stepped onto the sidewalk to the time she was shot was 9 seconds. I don't know what information the officer received when he was en route to the situation. I don't know what his training was. I don't know if his taser was left or right as opposed to his gun. Was this another I went for the gun instead of the taser. It's easy for us as people, as viewers, as an audience, to look at the video and say, well, he should have pulled his taser the instant that Miss Bryant swung the knife at the first intended victim, because she was much from the body cam footage, he was much closer to her at that point, as opposed to when Miss Bryant was going after the pink tracksuit person. Because looking at the body cam footage, it doesn't look like there's much distance, but when you look at the other footage from the house across the street, it does look like there's a significantly bigger difference. My estimation is, I don't know, 8 to 10 feet. And with tasers, you have to be at least somewhat precise to make sure that both tasers pierce the skin. Otherwise, you're not going to get the full charge going through.
How far do tasers travel? I'm going to look that up right now.
I'd like to say the wire would stretch a good 10 feet, 15 maybe. Depends on the model of the taser, I think.
Just looking at that right now. Oh, okay. So the newer ones are 25 feet.
Wow.
But, okay, so there are two current lengths available, 15 and 21 feet.
Okay.
So, so here's some food for thought on that with the taser instead of the gun argument, okay? There are 4 taser models that civilians can. Well, these are civilians. The best accuracy should be fired around 6 feet.
Yeah, and especially again, if you're going for center mass.
Mm-hmm. And I understand what you're saying. You are by no means is Mr. Borrowman a scientist or anything on length and whatnot. Before anybody says anything, just by your estimation, maybe you might not even hit. Yeah. So that's the thing. Are you going to take the chance? If, like, I didn't see the side video. So if it is really, like you say, like, what'd you say, 10 feet away, let's say 7 to 10?
My estimation was 7 to 10.
Estimation? Yeah. That might not even be an accurate shot. So then what if he misses and he misses the barb and she fucking stabs this girl a bunch of times?
At least stabs her once. Yeah.
Yeah. At least stabs her once. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
Right.
If you cut anyone anywhere in the neck, at least an inch or so deep, I think if you don't hit a major artery, then you're at least going to puncture enough to cause major blood loss.
Mm-hmm.
But you did stay at a Holiday Inn? What? Didn't you do that last week?
Yeah, it wasn't the Holiday Inn. That was last week.
Are you watching the other show as well?
Yeah,
Brody?
What show are you on? Are you watching 2 shows at once? Are you even on the right show? That'd be great if he's commenting. He's like, yeah, like he just said a Holiday Inn. I stayed at the Holiday Inn like fucking last week. Last week on Tuesday.
Wow.
Good Lord, Brody, get your shit together. So
but Brody was saying it's a justified shooting. It is and it isn't because of the knife. But what if it turns out that the object she had in her hand, and you can clearly see she had something in her hand that protruded from the fist onward, probably about that long. What if that turns out not to be a knife? Because I saw one frame when she was going after the pink tracksuit girl. What if that's not a knife? What if, you know?
I'll take that argument down right now. Because we've seen this, we've heard this like a bazillion times. Don't reach into your coat when you're with a cop.
Yeah, right? Like keep
it's the
your
same
hands
thing.
up.
It's the same thing. You have something in your hand. It's split-second decision. Split second.
Yeah.
You know, and here's the thing. And then there's one more, and then we'll move on. We'll get to what we're supposed to be here for. If he had say if he didn't shoot and he ran up to her, and he grabbed her by the hips. And he like Chris Benoit German suplexed her onto the pavement, right? Like grabbed her, like grabbed her and flipped. And like, what if he broke her neck? Then it'd be like, oh, police brutality. Look what he did to this poor girl.
Yeah, you can't win.
Like, there was no winning for this officer.
No matter what you
do. Not that this is a game for anybody to win.
Exactly.
This isn't. But yeah, either way, you're going to lose because you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. So.
Yes, he did think the two people who were in the line of fire, the woman Miss Bryant was going after with the knife, they were in immediate danger. Absolutely.
Okay, so I thought that was gonna be the last one. I do need to say this last thing. I know that we look up to athletes. Okay, we do.
Do we though?
Well, a lot of people do.
A lot of people do. Yeah.
A lot of people do. Okay. And we're always told we need to find everything out. We are mature enough here to sit here and go over the facts, right? Like we're trying to figure it out. We're not saying conclusively this is it. Mr. LeBron James, you need to shut the fuck up and just play basketball. Okay? So I don't know how many people saw this. He tweeted as soon as he heard LeBron saw this happen, he put a "you're next" hashtag accountability beside an hourglass with an emoji and stuff. And the Carfax. Again, but then he deletes it and says, angered. Okay, I said this before. This guy just needs how to type in English. English does any sick of us any good, and that includes myself. And how to use this punctuation. Gathering all the facts and educating does, though. My anger is still here for what happened to that little girl. My heart and sympathy for the family, and may justice prevail. So, yeah, I totally LeBron James. And and I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it. When you're not making multi-millions of dollars off the backs of young Chinese children in sweatshops, LeBron, then you can start talking. Okay? The only jersey in the NBA that didn't have shit on the back of it was LeBron James because nobody's messing with LeBron's money. His jersey was the only one that said James 23, nothing anywhere else on it. And that's the thing is a lot of people might not know he deleted that and they see that and immediately they go, oh, yeah, fuck him. Yeah, that guy, he just shot that girl. And don't do any research to find out what happened. Don't watch any videos. Don't read anything. And they just assume it was another George Floyd incident. So, yeah, the chicks. Fuck. Yeah. How dare you, Chadney? How dare you, Chadney Lissick? Call them the Dixie Chicks. Yeah. Hashtag namophobic. God, how dare you? I'm triggered. Anyway, speaking of music, that's a great segue.
Yes.
So, you dead named. Good Lord. So, I love music, and I know Alex loves music as well. So, I thought it'd be a great idea for if aliens so chose to come here and decided, we need to know what the motherfucker you guys listen to in your Sony Shockwaves. Because they'd be a little behind us. They'd be good on like their ships would be super fast, but they'd be still kicking Discmans. And then we'd be superior races because we have iPods. And we talked a little bit about it, but
George Flood goes to Fleod.
Fleod.
You're not even dead naming at this point, Brody. You're Brodying his name.
You're Brodying. Yeah, you're Brody too. Brody too. And all I'm gonna say about that is this. There was no way, no matter what, I believe he should have been found guilty of something. There was no way he was walking. There was no way he was going to walk. So, and I there's not really much to say. It's been beat to death.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Oh, okay. So that's what I'm going to say. So like I was saying before we went there, that when the aliens show up and they're still kicking, and not like the big square, they don't even have shockwaves yet. They're not even there. When we show them our iPhones with 4,000 songs, we will be the superior race.
Yeah.
But we still got to make them CD. So I hope Alex has a CD driver because I do not.
Yep.
So actually, I just bought an old shitbox Toyota that actually has a CD player in it. I was so excited. Then I was like, I don't have any more CDs. Fuck. Yeah, this baby's got like 320,000 kilometers on it. I'm gonna beat the shit out of it. But anyways, so we figured, let's make a list. If we're gonna give songs to aliens to listen to, like, hey, check this out. This is where we're gonna start you. Okay. Okay, bye, bro. Thanks for coming. So we're gonna just list songs that we would recommend for an alien race that if they wanted to learn about Earth's music. I really had to kind of detach myself because, of course, I'm like, oh, it's like a Volbeat and this and that. I'm like, okay, no, focus, dummy. This is music history. They're gonna, so yeah. How did the process go for you, Alex? Like getting your songs and deciding what stayed, what went?
Of course, like you, I thought of songs that I really like and the genres that I'm comfortable with. So I came up with 9 songs almost immediately off the bat. But because we're talking to an alien race, it's like we're all using Google Translate or something.
Fuck yeah, we are.
I decided to go a little bit more educational and take them on a bit of a journey in terms of musical evolution and human history to give them a bit more of a broader context about human behavior and where we've been, where we might be going, how music is made, what causes a person to want to make music. And so I had to do a lot of swapping out and mulling over different tracks and not sticking too close within my wheelhouse, because it's more than about just me. What if these aliens come down, they talk to the two of us, and then they're gone and they go back to wherever they're from and they start telling their race about our race? So then it turns out we are the representatives. So we got to be on our toes. We got to look, cultural without appropriating culture,
Yeah. Yeah. I wonder if they got like snowflakes. I wonder if they're called like starflakes aliens.
Yes.
The starflakes? Okay. So how about you start? I'm always the one that goes first on these things. So you start. You give me your, where would you start if you're going to?
So I would first tell the aliens, thank you for coming. Hope you don't, jump to too many conclusions too soon. And then I have to explain to them what that means, jumping to conclusions. And after that, I will tell them that we have not always been this technologically advanced, not only with regards to music, but everything else. So the first instrument that humans ever had was the voice. Sure, it could probably be argued that someone took a rock and banged it on a tree or something like that, but the voice was the first real instrument that we learned to use and cultivate. And because of that, I'm going to start with Gregorian chant, which I like to listen to every once in a while. And there's a rendition of a famous 13th century Latin Catholic hymn called, and I think I'm pronouncing this correctly, Dies Irae, which is translated to Day of Wrath, which is about the second coming of Christ in Judgment Day. Gregorian chant is church music sung as a single vocal line in free rhythm and restricted scale, in a style developed for the medieval Latin liturgy. Gregorian chant developed mainly in Western and Central Europe during the 9th and 10th centuries, with later additions and redactions. Although popular legend credits Pope Gregory I with inventing Gregorian chant, scholars believe that it arose from a later Carolingian synthesis of Roman chant and Gallican chant, although there's a citation needed on that. So the voice, Gregorian chant, goes all the way up to probably 14th, 15th century with the advent of basic, simple instruments. That's my number one. Wait a minute. What about farts? I don't know that people ate a whole lot of beans back then, so I'm not sure that we could consider farts musical.
Wow, you're out already? What the fuck?
Yeah. Because we shot down his farts comment.
Yeah, because we fuck. I said farts would be the first comedy bit, so I'm gonna go at this way differently because, I went just straight for music.
Yeah.
Not straight for music, but I did start early. So my number one, because the first thing that comes to mind that if I were gonna for Aliens, so also something we would have to make clear and hopefully be able to play them the three versions. We'd have to show them original, like original recordings, CDs, and then digital, just to how, like, because you'll get a lot of people who will be like, oh, I want the record because that's how it was intended to be made and all this other bullshit.
And they sound better.
Yeah. And I will quote my 67-year-old dad, maybe 67, yeah, who said, anybody who says they want to listen to records can go fuck themselves. Why would I want to deal with that bullshit when I can literally just go to my phone and go, look, Black Sabbath. And I'm sorry, if you're going to pay fucking $40 for a fucking record, you're an asshole. $40 fucking dollars? You have too much fucking money.
Yeah,
when
you're
I literally
part of the
pay
1%. Yeah.
I pay $15 a month, and me, my wife, yeah, I know that, right? No, mine's not 20th century. It is not. So I got me, my wife, my kid, and my extra iPod on my Apple plan for $15 a month. See, of course, he'd be that fucking yuppie, Mr. Fucking, I make a lot of money because I'm a water guy.
Trolling.
Yeah, no shit, exactly. So my first song is, always say that, can't say the name right, but it's Beethoven.
Yeah, Ludwig. Yeah.
Yeah, Ludwig Beethoven, but Beethoven. Yeah.
What? Go the Bill and Ted route. Call him Beethoven.
Beethoven. Yeah. But Für Else, I can't remember. Furlies.
Yeah.
Composed on April 27th, 1810. So, which is crazy that's when he wrote it, by Ludwig van Beethoven, right? If the score was actually not published till 1867. Okay, 4 years after his death. What? 40? Holy shit, 40 years after his death.
Yeah.
I just think it's beautiful. I think sounds great, and I don't know why that's where my brain went to right away. Was that was the first thing I thought of. And I think it's just yeah, with the throat singing and stuff like that, but when I think a first old instrument, that's what came to mind right away. And yeah, I do a big jump up to the 20, like I do a big jump here, but that's just the first thing that popped to my mind. I would recommend anyone listen to. Nice. So yeah, that's, and actually I just read something. So the version that is heard today is an earlier version that was transcribed by Ludwig Nolan. There's a later version with drastic changes to the accompaniment, which is transcribed by later manuscript by the Beethoven scholar Barry Cooper. Interesting. So even that is as a process that's changed, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I went, was to the 1800s. So they weren't all in the 20th century. So fuck you, Brody.
Maybe we should have talked about it beforehand, because my second is also from Ludwig.
Oh, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, well. Now, when people think of Beethoven,
it could be a double disc. Don't worry.
Yeah. Most people think of either Symphony No. 5, first movement, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Nobody's home.
Yeah. Or they've seen Die Hard, and they're thinking of Symphony No. 9, fourth movement. La, 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 la. No. If we're going to introduce aliens...
No.
No. Well, that's one way to get the aliens to destroy us completely.
Yes,
right
thank
away.
you. And you've killed us all, Jolene. Thank you. With your aqua. Now we're all dead.
I'm a Barbie girl. If we're introducing aliens to classical music, which is to this day great music and complex music as well, and I would introduce them to one of the greats, Ludwig van And I would go Symphony Number 3, First Movement, which was composed in 1803 or 1804 when Beethoven was 33 years old. And that's kind of disheartening for us old guys who haven't, written any symphonies up to this point in our lives. But,
Yeah.
And I chose Symphony Number 3, First Movement, and it's about 14 minutes long, depending on which composer is tackling it, because it's got all the hallmarks, all the melodies, everything familiar that you hear in other Beethoven songs is all present in this first movement. Composed mainly in 1803 and 1804, the work broke boundaries in symphonic form, length, harmony, emotional, and cultural content. It is widely considered a landmark in the transition between the classical and the Romantic era. It is often considered also to be the first Romantic symphony. So if you're going to give them the best, give them something, a little bit lighter to start with. Don't hit them with Symphony Number 9, Fourth Movement. Go a little bit lighter. Get them used to it, first of all, and then they can branch out from there.
Good one. That's a really good one.
And then we'll switch immediately to Men in Black. Yes, Trevor, that's a good idea.
And now the aliens are fucking our corpses. Thanks, Trev.
You and Jolene killed us all.
It killed us all. And now we're being raped by aliens.
Tchaikovsky's very good as well.
So this, like I told you, I was kind of going to go to the instruments to, I'm going to jump all over actually decades now, because I wanted to show the progression of music and make it slow. So my next song is from 1958, and it's actually by Little Richard.
Oh, yeah.
Good Golly, Miss Molly.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to show how the piano changed to how
was that Beethoven or was that Mozart? Because I'm pretty sure Mozart did stuff like that, Chad.
That's awesome.
One where he talked about a fart or something. Brilliant composer, but strange.
But yeah, so I went Good Golly, Miss Molly. It was first recorded in 1956. And a lot of people, including Lemmy from Motorhead, hail. He says that Little Richard is responsible for rock and roll. And the things Little Richard did living in, I'm pretty sure it was Missouri and being
Louisiana.
Yeah. And this was recorded in New Orleans in 1956.
The deep South.
Yeah. So to be a black gentleman and gay is wow. And to make the life that he did is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I didn't go with Great Balls of Fire, Trevor, was because Good Golly, Miss Molly was out before Great Balls of Fire. I was kind of trying to give two spectrums of the music, right? Of using the instrument, sorry, not the music. So yeah, he had first, and it's funny. So here's Little Richard had first heard the phrase "Good Golly, Miss Molly" from a Southern DJ named Jimmy Pinnock. He modified the lyrics for more suggestive "Good Golly, Miss Molly, you sure like to ball." And he actually took the intro for the song from Ike Turner's piano intro for his influential 1951 rock and roll song Rocket 88. So that's, paying homage or ripping off, however you want to put it. But
steal from the best.
Steal from the best, yeah. Even though Ike Turner was an asshole.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I thought it's very, very interesting. 1956, and it wasn't released for 2 years. So, but there was actually a Valiant version that was released in 1957. I didn't even know there was another version. I just thought there was always Little Richard. So yeah. So Little Richard, Good Golly, Miss Molly.
Right on. I'm going ahead, not so far from you, but so far from my second choice to 1971.
Nice.
We're going with this little known 8.5 minute folk rock song from Mr. Don McLean.
Oh, good call.
Yeah, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah. American Pie from 1971. Both the song and the album, same name. Uh, the song is a folk rock cultural touchstone about the loss of innocence of the early rock and roll generation. And I can use that as a springboard to explain to the aliens about what rock and roll is. Of course, you had already got that conversation started with Little Richard. And I can bring up who is in that plane? Richie Valens,
The Big Bopper,
Big Bopper,
Buddy Holly.
and Buddy Holly.
Yep.
Yes.
The day the music died.
Yeah, the day the music died. And I can explain to them that this is a beloved American folk song. Well, not just America. I mean Canada as well. I can vouch for that. At least one portion of Canada.
For sure.
Perhaps it could be used to bring us together, maybe not as a species, but at least for one drunken night for 8.5 minutes, we can all get together and sing this song. These of us
pens are garbage. Sorry.
So, A Moment of Peace by Mr. Don McLean.
I love that, and you know that.
Yeah, I do.
Lots. Like, I can honestly say, I know you hate exaggeration shit, but like, you couldn't even make an honest number how many times we sang that song.
Mm.
Like that and Redneck doing the Belushi were staples of our parties, right? So
yes, and I should have mentioned that as an honorable mention as well to the covers greater than the original, because the Beatles did the original, and who was it that did
Joe
the remake
Cocker.
of that? Yeah, Joe Cocker. Little Help from My Friends.
All these pens are fucking dead.
Who uses pens anymore?
I do. I'm old. Pens are all garbage. All right.
You might as well be talking about 8 tracks and stuff.
No shit, right? Oh, by the way, I have a friend. So if anybody out there has some 8 tracks, I have a friend. They just got, I think, their 8 and her father's 8-track machine fixed or refurbished, and it works. So if you have some 8 tracks you want to get rid of, let me know. And they're 8 tracks, motherfucker. Do not charge me anything for them, you twats. Okay, so I wanted to keep into the 50s because that was really the birth of rock and roll. So my next song was from 1957, Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock. I was trying to find an earlier Elvis song, and I wanted to, like, again, early, because I want to, not chronologically ordered, but I wanted to get earlier. And I was thinking about Hound Dog, but because he was on the Ed Sullivan Show or whatnot, because it was such a big cultural moment, and it lives to this day. I mean, Forrest Gump had it on there. They talk about like how they record after that. They wouldn't record him from the hips down because he moved his hips provocatively. It's a catchy song, and then you can explain Elvis is how he became the king of rock and roll. But then you could also start to explain the whole how him along with Colonel Parker. Or Parker, right? Colonel Parker? Did I get that right? I think. Anyways, they were stealing music from black people. It's been well documented. So, but it's a great song, and I didn't want to go. I mean, that was my thing. I right away was going to go Suspicious Minds. I'm like, no, that's too late. That's way too late. Like, because that's when he was like Big Fat Elvis in Vegas. So I went with Jailhouse Rock from 1957. So yeah, that was recorded in April of 57 and then released in September. So yeah, that was my next song, was Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock.
Thanks for the love, Trevor. We appreciate it.
Thanks, Trev.
I'm going forward, always going forward in time, showing the progression and bringing history up to the present to explain how we got from there to here. I'm going to 1983. There's this little Irish band called U2. They released an album that year called War, and probably the song that put them on the map, Sunday Bloody Sunday.
Great song.
One of U2's, yeah. It's to this day, especially like the drums you remember instantly. One of U2's most overtly political songs, its lyrics describe the horror felt by an observer of the Troubles in Northern Ireland, mainly focusing on the 1972 Bloody Sunday incident in Derry, where British troops shot and killed unarmed civil rights protesters. And according to songfacts.com, Bono started writing this with political lyrics condemning the Irish Republican Army, a militant group dedicated to getting British troops out of Northern Ireland. And I could reference movies like Patriot Games and The Crying Game, and there are others as well. So music is not just something to dance to. It is also something to use to preserve moments in history and perhaps speak out against atrocities and things that you thought at the time were wrong and still are wrong to this day.
Hey, Chadney, will you shut the fuck up? Spoiler alert, dickhole. I haven't even left the 1950s yet, you grumpy old twat. Would you fucking wait? Great googly moogly.
Where's his wife to tell him to shut up?
Yeah, Tammy, tell him to shut the fuck up. God damn it. Ugh. Anyways, did you sorry, because I saw his comment. Did you was that it for Sunday Bloody Sunday? I love that song.
Yeah.
Their 80s stuff was awesome.
Absolutely.
Their 90s, I liked Zarupa. It was kind of a little weird because that's when he was doing the whole fly thing. Like he had like the, yeah, Alex did. Did I? No. So guess what, motherfucker? On my next song, how dare she? Ugh.
We thought we got rid of Brody the troll, but now we got Chad taking over for him.
Chad the goblin. Good Lord. Okay, so now I'm twist your panties. So my next song, I'm staying in the 50s. So I went to, Little Richard started rock and roll. Went to Elvis Presley, who was the first, I guess, white rock star, if you will, though stealing by people's music. And my next song, I went to 1958, the same year, Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good. Because that's the first time you can really think of a guitar where it was like, holy crap, listen to that. So much so Michael J. Fox played it when he went back and was trying to fuck his mom in Back to the Future. But that's how it happened, wasn't it? It was something like that.
And that's exactly how you want to explain that to aliens, because that will make us look good to them.
And then they killed us. So great. Now it's my fault. So yeah, I mean, I even remember being a kid and hearing, like, when I first heard it, because my dad had some of the do you remember the Time Life CDs that had like all the collections from the 50s and stuff?
Yeah.
And I remember listening to that on the CD. I was like, holy, listen to that guitar. Like, wow. So yeah, it was written by Barry in 55, but it didn't come out until was recorded in 58. Was recorded, in 58 in January, released in March 31st of 1958. So yeah, he's got a couple good songs. Maybelline was good. Of course, Ryan singing My Ding-a-Ling is always a classic from the Selwyn house. Ahoy, ahoy.
Singing it or yelling it?
Yeah. No, sorry. I refrained. I was wrong. I was not redneck. That was Mackey's go-to whenever we had to sing a song when the rules.
Oh, that's right.
He always sang My Ding-a-Ling. Always. Just like I always did the monologue from Jaws. Or no, we sang the Jaws song, and I did the monologue from Snatch, Vinnie Jones one with the gun. So it's actually ranked 7th all time of greatest songs of all time. 7th.
Wow.
So yeah. But I really enjoy this one. It's got a good guitar, and it's one of the first real guitar licks. You're like, man, that is awesome. So yeah, I went to 1958 Chuck Berry. And Ryan is confirming that was a Mackie singing his ding-a-ling. So, yeah, so you think about it. James had the bum-bum. Mackie had the ding-a-ling. Ryan had Cocker. I did Triple H's spitting water all the time.
Yeah.
And then Alex killed the bum-bum.
Yes, that was a one-time thing.
Hi, Jen.
Hello, Jen. Welcome.
All right, so quick recap then, Jen, just because you got here. We'll go over the songs quick. I went with Beethoven. Say it again for me, Alex.
For Elise.
Chuck Berry. I'm just going to read them as I got them listed. Chuck Berry, Johnny B. Good. Little Richard, Good Golly Miss Molly, and Elvis Presley, Jailhouse Rock.
And I started with Gregorian Chant, Dies Irae, and then Symphony No. 3, first movement from Ludwig van Beethoven's 9 Symphonies, and then I went to Don McLean's American Pie from 1971, and then up to 1983, U2, Sunday Bloody Sunday. And number 5 for me, I'm starting an entirely new genre. I'm moving into electronic music, and this is from 1999. So drum and bass is a genre of electronic music characterized by fast break beats, typically 165 to 185 beats per minute, with heavy bass and sub-bass lines and samples and synthesizers. The genre grew out of the UK's jungle scene in the early 1990s. A major influence was the original Jamaican dub and reggae sound that influenced jungle's bass-heavy sound. Drum and bass has influenced many other genres like hip-hop, big beat, dubstep, house, trip-hop, which I love, ambient music, which I love, techno, jazz, some rock, and some pop. So there's this drum and bass artist, well, he's more into electronic music in general. He did an EP, which was released in 1999, 4 songs, nothing big. His name at the time was Dr. Mario. His real name is Mario Rosa. I'm not sure where he's from. I'd like to say the United States, but I could be wrong. The name of the EP is The Boy Next Door, and the song I'm referring to is Beg for Life. It's a good 6-minute song, and the reason that I bring up drum and bass is because in the winter of 2004, there was a video called Video Explains the World's Most Important 6-Second Drum Loop. It was narrated by Nate Harrison, and he explains that there was a funk and soul band in the 1960s called the Winstons. They did a song called Amen Brother, and that was the B-side of a single released in 1969 that's called Color Him Father. From that song, Amen Brother, someone sampled in the 1980s using a simple sampler machine the 6-second drum loop that's probably about the middle of the song. And they used that, which basically, in the early 1990s, created the drum and bass genre. So I wanted to show the aliens that we can sample bits of music and use it to create other music. And I would also refer the aliens to a documentary called RIP, a Remix Manifesto, which talks about a DJ, an American DJ called Girl Talk, who specializes in mashups and digital sampling. So as humans, we like to varietize, if I may, mix things up, take things from some places and mash them together to see what comes up. Because sometimes it reveals a psychological quality about ourselves that sometimes in our imaginations we see or hear different things, and to interpret and bring to life what we see in our minds, that's a distinctly interesting human quality. And I think they would learn a little bit about our psychology from that explanation. And scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That stuff. All right. So now Chad can get ready to stroke his dick. So my next song, I am now jumping to 1963. And it is a song by the Beatles. And it is called Twist and Shout from the Please Please Me record, 1963. Now, I went with Twist and Shout because that is the iconic, to me, in my mind, that is when they hit it big, because of course, that was the Ed Sullivan Show with all the girls screaming. They had the bowl haircuts. They're all dressed the same. And to me, that's when the Beatles really exploded for them in North America. I should have, and I don't know, I doubt you did because you're so far ahead now. I should have put another Beatles song on here from like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Heart, or from the Abbey Road album, just to say like, hey, this is where they went. Like from Twist and Shout. Actually, I should have went from Twist and Shout to Revolver. Like, or Revolution, sorry. But I just went with that because that was their big coming out party. So that's why I went with Twist and Shout. So yeah, I mean, you can't really go wrong with a lot of Beatles. I mean, I honestly find them overrated. But I have to, again, I had to put them in there because I'm talking like rock history for myself. That's the way I went. So yeah, the Beatles, Twist and Shout.
Cool.
Yeah.
With regards to music, music falls under the banner or the umbrella of art and artistic expression. Anyone who knows me knows that I love movies. So my number 6 is from a movie soundtrack, and soundtracks, musical scores, they're all music.
You're going to say Titanic.
No, I'm not.
Just fucking you. And
you should burn in hell.
If you had come out with me with Titanic, that would have been the end of the show. Because I'd be like, we're done here. We have jumped the shark.
We have jumped the shark.
Yeah.
So there was a movie that was released in the year 2000. Stars Russell Crowe. Gladiator.
I knew it. I knew you were going to say Gladiator.
The composers, I should say, were Hans Zimmer, by now a famous musical movie composer, and Lisa Gerrard. And the song that I'm going to bring up from them is Now We Are Free, because you can't go wrong with Hans Zimmer and the lovely voice of Lisa Gerrard, and music in a movie visual storytelling context helps to tell that story. Like I watched the Ip Man trilogy with Donnie Yen recently. The Chinese, they use quite a lot of orchestral music in their movies. Same with South Koreans. Not all South Koreans, but in 2004 there was a South Korean movie called Tai Gut Gi, The Brotherhood of War. So it's a war movie, and it heavily uses a lot of orchestral music to affect people's emotional state, because war, it's not only devastating and terrifying, but it's also very emotional. So bringing to the aliens the idea that music can help tell stories visually.
And war. What is it good for? Absolutely nothing. Say it again. Yeah. Woo! Whoa! Yeah.
And then you cut to Homer dancing naked in the church.
Naked in the church. Yeah. And I hope I'm not wrecking anything, but I maybe I am, but I hope not, because you've ever done a movie. I was joking about Titanic, but I'm not saying like Celine Dion's song, but there's a lot of those like where it's just like a hum, or like in the musical score. Like I can think of the song and you remember the scene of the Titanic, or like Lord of the Rings. Right, when like there's a part when the music, and I didn't find this out till years later. It was actually Annie Lennox doing the singing for the Lord of the Rings, and I had no idea. So, fuck, wow.
If Trevor's the one who's introducing aliens to the human race, they're going to turn around, face palm, and walk away.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so I started at the British invasion. Yeah. I'm not a Rolling Stones fan. They're not on my list. So, because I jumped right to, it took me a long time to decide this, because I figured I'm actually shocked you didn't mention one of their songs, because I know you're such a metalhead. But so the next one I put in, this was mid the British invasion, was from 1970s Paranoid, Black Sabbath, Iron Man / Luke's Wall. I was trying to figure what Sabbath song I wanted to go with, because they've been credited as the godfathers of metal. I remember because I can't get it right. Yeah, I'm a musician, but I'm a singer and a really shitty bass player. But to listen to the way Tony Iommi described how he got his sound for Sabbath, that had never been done, like the dials he had turned and what he had done, it had never been. So to me, because guitar and rock music is so prevalent in my life, you have to go where it started, to metal. Like I started where rock and roll started with Little Richard and stuff, and then I went to metal. like were the birth of metal, and to me that's Black Sabbath.
Hmm.
Some like and Maiden and stuff's all in there too, but Sabbath to me is the beginning of it. And not only is it a great song with like it technically sounds awesome, the story it tells.
Mm-hmm.
How, you know, like they got the poor go to war, the rich just, you know, they hide, you know, generals gathered in their masses, just like which is that black masses, you know, like yeah. Evil minds of plot destruction. Like it's such a good song.
Sorcerers of death construction.
And it tells a story. So you're killing two birds with one stone with that. If you're gonna, you know, so that's why I went with Black Sabbath, Iron or Luke's Wall and War Pigs. I said Iron Man. I fucked up. It's War Pigs.
Yeah,
I did fuck up. Actually, but no, I went Luke. I wanted it to not Iron Man. It was supposed to be War Pigs. So now the aliens shot me because I was wrong.
Because they're testing me out with Google. They're like,
yeah,
is he right? Is he right?
Hey, it's Luke. It's War Pigs. And I like, and I don't know where technically like Luke's Wall starts, but that guitar towards the end, where it's just like that Yeah, I already fixed it, Chadney. Welcome to the fucking party, dickhead. When it's like like that end. Oh, it's fucking great. Fucking old man probably just barely got it texted. And he's like, oh, I just spent 20 minutes texting it. I'm fucking sending it. I don't care what he said. Fucking Herbert there on his fucking keyboard. Jesus Christ. So yes, Black Sabbath, War Pig / Luke's Wall from Paranoid.
That's great because that definitely flows into my next song, not in terms of genre, but in terms of political commentary. Because my next song is from an album from the year 2000, and we're getting into hip hop, and I'm talking about underground, independent hip hop. So from the year 2000, the album is called Let's Get Free from the Dead Prez. The song is called Police State. So Dead Prez, the album, this is the debut studio album released February 8th in the year 2000, well received by critics and audiences alike, and is considered a classic among indie and underground hip-hop circles. The album was called a return to politically conscious rap, and the most politically conscious rap since Public Enemy. So then we can open up to the aliens about how hip-hop came into being. We can get into beatboxing. We could even probably go back into punk, because there are some elements of punk that could be considered found in early hip-hop. Some, it's a tenuous connection, but at the very least, I can mention punk music. The song Police State once again features a speech by Chairman Omali Yeshitela of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, and criticizes the system of policing as well as the surveillance state while arguing for a revolution. So this song is what I would use for a springboard to explain to the aliens, this is why, one of the reasons why the situation is what it is between Caucasians and African Americans in the United States to this day. So it gives them just a little glimpse into what has happened since, what's happening now, to give them a little bit of history into this interesting cultural experiment that is the United States of America.
I downloaded that. I've never heard of that. I just downloaded it, so I will check it out after the show.
That entire album is really good. The song Hip Hop and track number 2, I'm an African. Those are really good songs. Those are hit singles, but the entire album is really, really good.
Okay. So I actually see it's funny now that I'm looking at it going, holy shit. Like I really, I stuck to the British wave, if you will. And my next song that I went with, I'm going to go ahead and then back to the next one after this. But so the next song I went to was from 1975's Physical Graffiti and then Led Zeppelin Kashmir. I didn't go with Stairway because it's Stairway. They're gonna find it.
Mhm.
That's one of those things. Like, and the reason I went for Kashmir is because it sounds like a whole band. Or no, sorry, it sounds like a whole symphony is there. It
Mhm.
sounds like, but when you watch them play it, that's all John Paul Jones. You want to talk about a guy that did not get enough love? Like, he's the one that makes all that like all that sound. That's him on the keyboards. He does not get, like, everyone always talks about Page and Plant. John Paul and Bonzo. John Paul Jones does not get the love that guy deserves. I've said it before, and I know this is, but go look on YouTube, Ramble On, just the bass track. Go listen to him play that. That's from like what, 7? Like, this was so Ramble On would have been Zeppelin 1 or 2 off the top of my head. So yeah, that would have been back in the early 70s, and that's the bass riff he comes up with. I thought it was great. So yeah, I think, and again, you could choose a ton of Led Zeppelin songs, but I went with that to explain to them, like, this is just the same for, like, I should have had like Black Dog and then done Kashmir. Because you go, look, this is the same band, same guys, but look, listen to the sound difference. So yeah, that was where I went to, was Physical Graffiti, Kashmir.
Yeah, John Paul Jones. I tried playing the bass line from Bring It On Home. I can't remember if that's the first or the second album. The chorus, difficult. The during the first and second verse, impossible. Jesus, you should look that. He's all over.
I'm doing it right now.
That one. Good
Bring It On Home.
Yeah.
It's cool. I got a tab now for my guitar tabs on my computer. Bring It On Home.
It's not easy. That's for
Little
sure.
Big Town. What the fuck? It's not on guitar tab. How dare you?
It's out there somewhere.
Yeah, I know. It will be. There we go. Anyways, so go ahead.
So moving on from political commentary to social commentary, so we can explain to aliens that we can use music to do anything we want. And some people choose to, I wouldn't say bitch and complain, but bring up inequalities that they feel are happening in the present time. And now I can use stand-up comedy. I can bring that into the fold under the umbrella of entertainment. So the late, great Greg Giraldo, who we all remember if you've seen pretty much any Comedy Central roasts from 2004 to 2010, Greg's stand-up comedy was sampled by a DJ called Lazy Boy, and the song from the album Lazy Boy TV, the song is called Underwear Goes Inside the Pants. I'm not going to say too much about it, but it's great American stand-up comedy by Greg Giraldo with great backing track music. That's pretty much all I'm going to say about that. If you're a fan of Greg Giraldo, you know about this already.
Okay, so I'm going to go back because this is our show and we're going to take as long as we fucking want. Mm-hmm. You said the chorus was the breakdown, right? Where you were like, holy shit.
The verse, first and second verse. The chorus itself, I can kind of play, but the first and the verses, no.
Like, impossible. Holy shit.
Yeah, it doesn't.
04579757797793777974777977797. Holy fuck!
Yeah.
Like, wow. No, I'm just looking at the tablature, right? Like, holy.
When you listen to the song, you understand where he's going, but still to get there, is difficult.
But that's even like, I'm so like not advanced at all. Even like Longview, playing Longview on the bass, I'm just like.
That's cool. I like that intro.
I do too. I really like it. Yeah. So, okay. So I done gone to the white man for all his music. So now I'm going to go bring it back to the African Americans. And in my opinion, again, I know it's open to suggestion and that the greatest guitar player ever. It's off the album Hendrix in the West from 1968. And that is Jimi Hendrix, Voodoo Child. Listen to it. I don't even need to say anything else. You listen to that fucking guitar, and then you could say, so listen to what Chuck Berry started at, and now listen, not even this 10 years later. where Jimi Hendrix is.
Yeah.
Just the evolution of the guitar. So I think it's Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix to me has to be on the list if you're going to give Aliens a CD to listen to. And then you got to tell them to get really high and you go listen to like "And the Wind Cries Mary." So.
And then they can end with "Hey Joe" because they'll be so baked.
Yeah.
Like, "Hey Joe."
Yeah, exactly. Man, I do a big jump. All right. Next, sir.
Same year, 2004. There's a Swedish extreme metal band.
Here we go.
Yep. Called Meshuggah.
I've heard of Meshuggah.
They released an EP in 2004. The EP is one song. That one song is 20 minutes long.
Fuck! We're going to do triple disc.
It's called I, the letter I. The drummer, Thomas, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Hake or Hack. I'll just say Thomas Hack. He said, quote, "That whole track was written and recorded just on random. Me and Frederick, the lead guitarist, would just jam on something, and when we found something that was kind of cool, he would walk into the control room. I would just record drums, and it wasn't a set pattern. I would just kind of stray away from the pattern, but just keep going in that vibe. Then we had to chart everything and go bar by bar to record the guitars afterward, because it's all just random. This, to me, is an example of the evolution of music, because if you look on YouTube, that 20-minute song is broken down into 4 parts. It's almost like a symphony in and of itself, but it has no chorus. It has no verse. There is singing to it that Jens Kidman, the lead singer, does, but there's nothing set in stone. It's not your typical song structure that you would find in AC/DC or Buckcherry. And I'm not decrying those bands. They do well with, AC/DC does. I'm not a fan of Buckcherry. They do well with their format, but this is an abandonment of typical song format. And to teach and tell aliens that music is whatever you want it to be. It doesn't have to be a 3-minute hit single that goes intro, verse, chorus, verse, solo, build back up to chorus, and then repeat chorus until fade out or sudden stop. It doesn't have to be that way. It's whatever you want it to be. And that's what these guys do. They're progressive, extreme metal. And you listen to that song from beginning to end, and it does have philosophical musings, and it could tell a story. I would love to find enough footage to be able to do a music video for that, but it's way too difficult. So I would simply throw that at them and say, this is progressive metal, progressive music, and you can go absolutely anywhere with it. And this was 2004. That's 17 years ago. I mean, where we've kind of gone in 17 years. It's great.
So, and see, I love that because that's such a broad, and again, that ties into like we had early 50s guitar, and now here we are with the metal. Like, here's how it's changed. Here's how, how many more songs have you got?
1.
Okay. So the last, because I kind of had a pattern going here. So I'm gonna have a few more after you're done, just to kind of round off the album, because I feel we haven't touched some genres yet. So my next one is from 1985. And to me, this is the 80s. I remember the fucking Time Life video song, like it was a commercial, and I could see them singing in the video. And so it's from 1985. The album is called Songs from the Big Blue Chair, and it is Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Yeah, I love that song.
That's the 80s.
Yep.
To me, that's, and there's other songs, of course, you could say, but that to me just wraps the 80s up. That's the 80s. Here's what the 80s looked like and sounded like. Here you go. That almost the whole decade. That's what the music, more or less, that was the big boom for music. So that's where I went. Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World. And I really like the song.
And you could bring up that song, and then I can mention to them, hey, remember I said earlier about stand-up comedy? Well, there is this comedian named Dennis Miller who used that song for the first I want to say 3 seasons of his HBO show, Dennis Miller Live, which was a great show. I loved that show.
Never watched it. I'll be honest.
It's
I
Dennis
was
Miller.
never a huge Miller fan, to be honest.
He can be an acquired taste.
Yeah,
but I love him.
Yeah, and everybody around our age would like yeah, you hear that song and you hear it, you know, everybody wants to rule the world. Do, 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 do. You could hear the piano, the synthesizer, and yeah. So yeah, everybody can hear that song. So all right, so Alex's last song, and then I'm just gonna throw some out just to kind of round up, just because I feel there's some we haven't touched yet.
So this is from 2011, and again, I'm going way out on a limb here, but I want to show the aliens that there's a whole world of music out there. So this is classical Indian sitar music.
Nice.
Anushka Shankar, she is a British Indian sitar player and composer. And I found this on YouTube because I had to find it somewhere in order to reference. The song is called Pancham Segara, and her father was a very famous and talented sitar player named Ravi Shankar.
I've heard of his name. I knew I heard Shankar. I've heard of Ravi Shankar. Didn't he hang out with the Beatles?
Oh
look. You keep talking.
Yeah. He had a famous album called The Spirit of India from, I want to say the 80s. There are a lot of really, really talented Indian sitar players out there. You could find thousands of videos. I went with Anushka because it's a great place to start. She was born in June 9th, 1981. So she's 2.5 months older than me. She started playing at the age of 7 with her father. She began doing public performances at the age of 13 and released her first album in 1998 at the age of 17. She's very talented and she's very lovely. So I would tell the aliens, go there, see what humans can do with stringed instruments. I mean, the sitar that she plays, it's huge. You think of Jimi Hendrix's guitar, it's the fretboard is probably about that long. The sitar is way longer, way more strings. So what humans can do with stringed instruments is absolutely amazing. So I say start with her. That's a great place I think you should start if you're going to get into Indian classical music on the sitar.
So I'm looking at Ravi. So guess, and I as soon as I saw the name, you know who her sister is?
Norah Jones.
Norah Jones, yeah.
Half sister.
Yeah, and Ravi Shankar, yeah, he was involved with the Beatles. But there's a picture of him playing his sitar, and it's huge. His sitar is huge.
Yes.
So that's awesome, because as soon as you said, I'm like, I know the name. So yeah, she is Norah Jones's half sister. So that's awesome. All right. So to round it up, I feel like we need to kind of touch on just a couple more songs. I won't spend a long time on it, but so other ones I had were Nirvana, Smells Like Teen Spirit. Because I mean that's launched the whole, and I wasn't gonna sit there and like In Bloom or Lounge Act are my favorite songs of that album. I'm just gonna go with the one everybody. That's the one. And I did put Tupac, California Love, but you kind of covered the rap, right? So
a little bit, yeah.
Well, they're sisters, so I don't know how that works. Maybe it's but maybe Norah Jones that's her mom. Got knocked up by Cat Stevens. I don't know. So, so then I went to Johnny Cash, 1968, Folsom Cocaine Blues from the live version, from Folsom Prison. And then my last one that I put, because we hadn't talked about country. I knew you probably weren't going to. No. So, and then the last song was Garth Brooks, In Pieces, 1993, Callin' Baton Rouge. So, I think it's a pretty good list.
Yeah.
And, I would, man, it would be so cool if you had the chance to sit with like a being and just be like, hey, you need to listen. We're going to get some beers. We're going to chill out. We're going to listen to some shit. Right. So I think it'd be really awesome. I love music stuff. I love sharing music with people.
Mm-hmm.
especially good music. Well, not even good music, just music, because people have different tastes. I mean, I always laugh at the songs you give me, but I listen to them. I fucking listen because, like, yeah, there it is. It's a fucking death metal here. Pitbulls in the Nursery is still the greatest name ever for a band.
Yes.
Pitbulls in the Nursery. I mean, they're even better than Caninus, and I loved Caninus. So,
have you ever heard of Aborted Hitler Cock?
I have now. Aborted. Oh my god. Wow.
There's another one called Sweatpants Boner.
I fucking yeah. And I like going down like the rabbit hole of like people covering other people's songs. Like I just found Aaron Lewis doing Nutshell. And Chadney's not impressed with me because he really likes City and Color version, like Dallas Green doing it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care. I mean, I liked it, but like after listening to Aaron Lewis, I like Aaron Lewis's better.
Mm-hmm.
But I like Dallas Green when he covered Bob Cajun when they did Gord's Celebration of Life, his cover, and it was like I've talked about before. I saw City and Color when he was kind of working on it, like he hadn't quite got it, but when he performed it live, it was awesome. Hey, listen, Brody Lissick, shut the fuck up. People that have different opinions, dick. So yeah, I love sharing music. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
there's no shortage of it.
No, there's tons and tons and tons and tons of music. So, whew, that's a good show.
We'll have to do it again sometime.
Yeah, so we have to make sure to keep our list because I know maybe we'll go like we need to do a part 2 or I like doing these. I like sharing,
Yeah, broadening the horizons. Absolutely.
Wait, hold on. So Sounds of Silence. Are you asking us, do we like the Disturbed one better or the Simon and Garfunkel? Is that what you're asking? The Disturbed one's fucking awful.
Yeah, I didn't care for it too much.
I didn't care for it because I love Simon and Garfunkel. And I think I would have appreciated it more if he had the guy, I don't know his name, but Snakebite guy with the tattoos or the piercings had done it on his own. You know what I mean? Like if he had done it just as himself and released it, because it's not Disturbed, right? It's all symphony.
Yeah.
Land of Confusion? No, I like the Genesis version.
I don't know. I listened to Land of Confusion at the end of the Bigger, Faster, Stronger documentary, and that really hit home with me. I thought that was a very good cover.
I think it's good. I don't think it's better than the original. I was gonna say They're Living After Midnight's pretty good. I don't think it's better than the original, but it's really good. Yeah. So that's a good show. A little bit of a dry throat. I've been drinking water the whole time. I'm gonna have to race like a piss horse.
We're probably going to come back to this, and I want to give it a year or so.
Yeah, we need to give it some time.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see. Like, I'll try to keep your lists, but I can't see my first ones being much different than what we like the first couple. I could see some things change. Like maybe we'll bring it back as a part 2. Like they're back. Like bitches, that music was dope. We need more, right? So,
well, that's what people in the comment section have to tell us.
Yeah, that's the thing, Jen. The Genesis version of the video is great with the puppets, like the Ronald Reagan Superman puppet and whatnot. Yeah, the video is really good. That's what you're talking about. I really think it's good. So, whew. Well, a lot of talking. I have no more ideas on which fourth to give.
As James used to say, I'm spent. He did say that once or twice.
Oh. And what did you always say at the end of those videos?
I don't think I ever had any catchphrase, and nor at this point would I want to have one, because then people would be expecting to say it.
Well, and
Yeah.